All right, guys, welcome to today's podcast. Today, I'm lucky to be joined by an old friend of mine named Andrew Walker. Andrew, for the people that don't know who you are, the few people out there, can you tell me who you are and a little bit about your history?
I think there's many people that don't know who I am. uh, yeah, man. Well, first off, thanks for having me on this, Josh. Always nice to see your face, and I don't see it enough, so it's nice, good excuse to be able to see you and have a chat with you, um,
Thank you,
and
sir.
catch up. But yeah, no, I've been in entertainment for aging myself now 30 plus years. Started acting when I was early teens in Montreal, Canada, and I decided at 21 years old, after a football injury that prevented me from going to play college football in the States, uh, rehabbed my knee, jumped in a car, got a job in Montreal that carried me for a couple years, and then I decided to jump in a car with a friend of mine and drive out to LA, and have been living in LA for 22 years now, and you know, being able to somehow hold on to a career and piece together a bit of a career here. And in the past 10 years, I was blessed with the good fortune of working for Hallmark Channel, and it's just been an incredible journey working with this network, and you know, just being around this community of actors and fans that is truly so unique in this industry that we're in. You don't really get these type of dedicated, loving, compassionate, and committed fans that we get in Hallmark, in really any other network or TV show that's out there. So I've been working. I do a lot of Christmas movies. I do a lot of these like seasonal movies for Hallmark, and just feel fortunate to be doing what I'm doing now.
That's incredible. It's funny, I didn't fully understand the Hallmark. I don't even know what a good word for it is. The
Universe,
yeah,
universe, or
universe.
Hallmark. Yeah.
I like that. The Hallmark universe, until I got a little bit of taste for it. I went to West Palm Beach and went to the convention. And I think I agree with you. I've never seen a fan base that's so passionate and so kind and so dedicated and so loyal. And when I first went there, first I was kind of shocked. And then I was like almost emotional at the amount of just beautiful love and kindness
Yeah, the
and
outpour of love. Yeah, because people know you now through Tyler and myself and other people, and and you show up and you're like a celebrity in your own right, but you don't even realize it. Like, that's the thing that I never really realized when before these conventions even happened. I would be randomly at a grocery store in Canada or in New Mexico or Arizona or somewhere, and I get very few people that would just come over and say, "Oh, are you in you in the movies? Are you Andrew Walker? Can I take a picture with you?" But then you don't really realize how many people are out there that watch these movies, and when you go to a convention, it's just this condensed amount of people that are rabid fans. And the I think why it's a Hallmark universe is that these movies aren't just they're not just it's not just storytelling. It is actually they're escape movies for so many people that take on really heavy jobs in their life, like teachers and nurses. They're dealing with really tragic cases, and they look forward to, at the end of their day, to come home and escape and be taken away with one of these movies where they don't really have to think too hard. They follow the story. They know more or less what's going to happen. But I think what's really happening now on our side of the camera, we're trying to bring people more stories that are richer, that are layered with uh, a lot more differences and conflict and characters that are overcoming things where we weren't able to really do that 3-4 years ago. But with this new changing of the guard, it's all a female run company now. They are so brilliant in the stories that they're bringing to us now, and it's just made it that much more exciting to work for this network. And I think the fan base is really starting to realize that as well.
That is so incredible. I mean, it reminds me of, for me, the purpose of art is to create an effect. And I feel like Hallmark has really figured out a way to make people feel better. And another example of how far reaching Hallmark is, I remember when I first came to Florida, I was walking my dog one night on, I like to walk around sunset. It was beautiful out, and as I'm walking down this beautiful neighborhood, some of the blinds are open of the houses that you walk by, and I was walking down this block, and I could see every so often a TV, and I would see your face, and I don't know what Hallmark movie it was, but you were in an office building, and I think you were like going back and forth between offices, and I was just thinking, like, what a trip. Like, I go across the entire country. I'm walking down a random street. I think it was 3 houses in total I saw. Everyone was watching a Hallmark movie. And I thought that was so
That's
beautiful.
funny.
That if you just really concentrate on content that makes people feel good, I think people gravitate towards that, especially in today's world. People want to feel something that's positive.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they do. They do, and like the beauty in Hallmark is they do replay these movies over and over again, and so come Christmas, I think I have maybe 14 movies that are in rotation, but they do that in the summertime and winter. Actually, no, sorry, I counted it the other day. I was counting between Hallmark and Lifetime, and 17 just the Christmas movies.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. It's wild. Yeah, yeah.
Um, I remember the first time we met. I think it was like 2008, or yeah,
That
I think
sounds
it
about
was,
right.
or 2009. Yeah,
Yeah.
which brings me to my next question: who's sexier, Tyler or Josh, and why is it Josh?
Well, I mean, that's tough, man. That's a tough comparison. I think if you were to mesh the two of you together, it would just be like you'd be the sexiest male alive. I mean,
We
just
become
bringing you two
Andrew.
together. See, I don't ride motorcycles, and I'm not, I don't have that cool factor. My kids remind me every single time Tyler rides his Harley up to our house. They're like, "Oh, cool, cousin Tyler! Cousin Tyler's here, Daddy. He's so cool. He's the coolest guy." And they go outside. They're all intrigued with his motorcycle, and he puts the
Oh, I love
helmet on
that.
them and stuff. And yeah, man. So I can't. You guys are in a whole other category of cool and
I don't know.
sexy.
I can't compete with Tyler. Sometimes he gets off his motorcycle, and I swear everything just goes into slow motion. His hair,
Yeah,
like all, and I'm just like, come on, man. Like, leave a little for the rest of us.
I know. I know.
But transitioning over to health, one thing that I really liked, actually, one kind of lesson I learned from you many years ago was you and Cassandra were so into health. You're talking to me about your juice company, and um, I think I would annoy you too and just sit down and ask you questions because at the time I hadn't really figured out health. I was still struggling with my own problems, and you and Cassandra were so great in being able to give out lots of information. But when did you first kind of find yourself getting into health?
Um, and look, man, I'm still figuring it out. I think information is constantly changing. I think that there's like the pillars of health are still the pillars of living a healthy life. But now we're starting to find out, like what affects gut biome per individual, and how gut health is like one of the most important things, really now. It affects the brain, it affects sleep, it affects everything, and so, I think we're learning more and more as technology starts to advance. And but I was playing football. I was working with a lot of trainers throughout my football career, obviously, and but that was more for like training and mechanics in the gym, technique and stuff like that. But it never really diet. And then I met Cassandra when I was 25 years old, and she had, like, I was really eating anything. I was eating anything and everything. I was, proteins and this and that. Eating a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken when I was younger, like 19 years old, trying to just gain weight for my, for football. But when I met Cassandra, that really opened up a whole new world for me, because she had already been reading. Her passion is reading blogs and magazines, and she had this subscription to this magazine called Cooking Light. It was ahead of its time. It was basically like turning your everyday recipe into a healthier version of whatever it is that you're making. So like, sweet potato casserole for Thanksgiving, and cauliflower mashed potatoes before that came on the scene.
Wow.
When people were doing like mashed potatoes. So she was just like, and then of course baking, tons of really healthy alternatives to bacon and new sugars, new types of sweeteners, monk fruit. She had known about monk fruit for a long time. I remember buying kale for the first time with Cassandra at the grocery store when we were, a year and a half into dating, and I was like, what is this? She's like, kale. It's like the whole new rage. It's just like, we're going to bring it home and make a salad out of it. And you're supposed to massage it and add olive oil and stuff like that. And so she had brought this whole like other, this more analytical kind of way of learning health and knowledge to me. So I combined that with my curiosity, and also when I had been, people that I was training with and stuff like that back in the day. And I knew more or less, healthy, what healthy eating was, kind of. But really what expedited, or what really like opened up this whole other world for us was just starting our juice bar. And when we started our juice bar, people were coming in and asking us questions like we were doctors. And so we always said the iPad in the store for our store staff was always there for educational purposes. So we always had new products being brought in, and people were pitching us on new ingredients and things to add to smoothies, and adaptogens were coming on the scene, all types of fungus and mushrooms and all this stuff. And so we started adding those to our smoothies. And then we would have to know, people would say, what does cordyceps do for you? Or what does reishi do for you? And so we'd expect the store staff and us, of course, had to have the answer. And then all the ingredients that we would put in our juices. And so, I think questions being asked to us, were really, really stretched our knowledge and made us want to become more knowledgeable in the space. And so, that's, I spend a lot of my day, honestly, now, even like on my weekends. I'm not with Cassandra right now, but when I'm not with her and I'm on location somewhere, I spend most of my days reading up blogs and apps and following different people. And the beauty is, like, there's so many podcasts now you can listen to. I'll go to the gym and I'll listen to a podcast about whatever, the best way to train, and the healthiest combinations of food to put together, and or brain health, gut health, all these things. But knowledge is power. And I think, so the juice business over the course of 10 years obviously really opened up doors to us and opened up, all these exploring new types of foods and stuff like that that we never would have probably had access to if we didn't have that juice bar.
That's amazing. Also, it's interesting now that I'm in my old age. I'm realizing like find, finding success artistically, is one thing that's rare, but then also finding a wife that you're on the same wavelength, you know what I mean? You help each other and you grow. That's like a lottery, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty cool
Yeah.
that you've been able to work so hard to not only create this beautiful family, but also this beautiful career. You might have to write a book at some point.
I mean, yeah, man, I feel so fortunate every day. I think that's another thing is Cassandra and I we're big gratitude people. Like not one day goes by, and maybe it's because we had a lot of struggles earlier on. A lot. We had our fair share. There's people that deal with a lot worse struggles, but when we were first starting our business and didn't know how we were going to just make it the next week because of cash flow, and we had investors money, and and then we decided to have our first child. If you don't have a strong relationship, you're not going to get through it. And we quickly found and realized our strengths and weaknesses with each other. And we would always say, okay, you stay in your lane, I'll stay in my lane, and let's just we'll just keep finding what makes sense in this balance, in this like push and pull. And even in our worst, darkest days, it was always about being grateful. And I think the best thing is when people are going through self struggles, you put it out into the universe. You make it about other people. You ask other people more questions. You are more courteous. You're more loving to other people. You take it off yourself, and you quit thinking about, hey, I have to oh my gosh, it's just, life is so tough, and I'm feeling self-conscious, or I'm this or whatever. So what you do is you flip it and you go, okay, well, how is that person doing? How's that store clerk at the grocery store? How's your day going? How you doing? Great. Have a beautiful day. Making sure you're checking in with family members, loved ones, making sure that you're taking it off yourself. And I think that's been a big thing as Cassandra and I in business, when we were at our most vulnerable, we were let's just make sure our customers, our farmers, all of our store staff, everybody feels our support and our love and our passion for what we're doing. And it was an outpouring of that, and we took it off ourselves, and we stopped festering in our own shit. And so I think that's always been a nice thing to fall back on and to remind myself of. But what a blessing. I mean, two healthy kids, having a wife, the type of wife I have, having work consistent like I do, and having a great sanctuary that we live in, and it's just been really amazing. I felt like I knew I was gonna have this in my life, but I didn't really realize that it was I'm in it right now. It's I'm in this pocket of just beauty, It's just everything is
It's
just kind of
amazing.
hitting. It's amazing, man. Yeah.
It's amazing. But also, I mean, all that is incredible information, but I also, like you were talking about earlier, I just noticed you and Cassandra give so much and you give so much love to others that um, I think it helps cultivate a friendship and an environment of people that you attract people that are good people and that are loving and they want to support you because you support them, and it creates this sort of network or family, I guess you would say, and it kind of makes you stronger in a way. Like one thing I've noticed in LA, um, that I ran into is a lot of artists would fail because they would all become a bunch of individuals, and then they would sort of see each other as competition, and um, as opposed to like forming a tribe. And when I first decided to get into the industry, before I even knew that I was a photographer or a director, um, you and Cassandra were some of the first people I met through a friend of yours named Vanessa, who I randomly met at a party, and we were friends for like 6 months to a year before I realized that you guys were related to Tyler, because I was also friends with Tyler. And then um, I was telling Tyler there's these great people he's got to meet, and when I told him your name, he's like, "That's my cousin."
Crazy, eh? Yeah, yeah.
uh, but so then going back to art, uh, I know it's a little tough to say past projects, but what would you say is some of your favorite past movies that you've worked on? That might be a tough one.
Yeah, man. No, no. I have a few. Like, I have a soft spot for westerns. I love westerns. I did 3 westerns back to back a bunch of years ago. A couple of them weren't the greatest films, but uh, being, having cowboy boots on with a duster and the hat and riding on horses, shooting guns, being outdoors in the desert. Or I shot one western, a Canadian western up in the Yukon. That was incredible to be up there and to shoot that movie. So those were fun to do, but I think one of the biggest growth project for me was a movie called Steel Toes that I did with an actor named David Strathairn, where I played a neo-Nazi skinhead, and that was such a challenge. It was such a challenging role, but to work with such a nurturing guy like David Strathairn, who's worked alongside Meryl Streep like three times, played her husband, and for him to be the type of guy that he was to me, the type of performer and actor. And when you say find your tribe, and just he he was so nurturing and loving, and he would always talk through things after every take, and he would just finesse and work through things. And I think like coming from that and then taking that into these Hallmark movies that I've done now, that's the world, that's the work ethic and the world that I want to live in as an artist. I always want to be able to be in this creative flow with my performers and the people around me that I'm working with. And so I think those were some fun projects, Steel Toes. But there's been numerous Hallmark movies that I've had a really great time working on. I think I'm 28 deep now, so there's too many to pick. But I have a great work ethic with look, obviously 3 Wise Men and a Baby was a really special one for me, because working with Tyler and Paul Campbell, and they're both brilliant actors and performers and artists, and so that was incredible. And I also love working with, there's an actress named Nikki DeLoach. We have a very similar work ethic, and so we have a really close friendship. We do this mystery wheel together on Hallmark, and so yeah, it's the long-winded answer to that. But
That's amazing. And to sidestep, you and I did a short film together called Americana, and I can't say a whole lot, but I can say that for the feature film, for the movie, there's so many things that are happening right now. I don't know what happened. A couple months ago, everything just kicked into full gear, and there's so much momentum and energy behind it. So hopefully, sometime early next year, we'll be making that movie. The first draft of the script is done, and I found this incredible script writer who's now going through and making it better. And I'm gonna fly to Texas soon and meet with some very powerful people that are really interested. And we got a whole entire city in Texas that's gonna sponsor the movie. So I'm excited to get you back in a Western.
Yeah.
And then
that'll make it to the top of my list. That'll be my favorite movie next.
Um, uh, what was it? Oh yeah. So, is there anything that's coming up that you're allowed to talk about, or what's next for you?
Yeah, well, I just a movie aired a week ago that I did in South Africa called Safari Romance, and that was
South Africa. Wow, that's
yeah, it
so
was
cool.
incredible. Yeah, it was incredible. Um, we were. I think my earphones are dying. Let me take the.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. So we shot it in South Africa, and I'm just gonna close this door 1 second. So it was like we were running and gunning. We would be shooting somewhere, and then the director would say, shh, 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 go to the left, and we'd all have to like shuffle the cameras and everything, and the actors, and there'd be a herd of elephants that just like coming through the woods, grazing
Oh
in the
my
distance,
God.
or giraffes. Then we spent a day with like white lions, and that at the end of every single day that we were shooting, the director Leif Bristow, he would try to carve out time for us to be able to go to on an evening safari, just like to because we were there.
What? That's
So
so cool.
yeah, it was so cool. So that aired, and it did really really well. The numbers were like really staggering, and it's obviously it's necessary, but it was also frustrating right now because of the strike that we couldn't do any self promo of the movie, which is such a big thing with
Oh
with these
yeah.
Hallmark movies. But all for good reason. There needs to be a strike, and writers and actors need to sort out what with the AMPTP what the new deal is going to be. But but yeah, that movie was incredible. I am supposed to be working on a new Christmas movie, so we'll see how that goes with the strike and stuff. But no, I mean, there's going to be there's another Curious Caterer as well. This mystery wheel that I do with Nikki DeLoach that'll be airing later this year. We already shot it a few months back, and I personally think it was the best one that we've done so far. It's our third movie in the wheel, but so there's so those are the few things on the horizon right now.
That's amazing. All right, I'm gonna end with two questions. First question is there any message that you want to give to all your fans out there? Everyone that's supporting you.
Like we started this conversation, it's there's no fans like these fans that we have, and I'm reminded of it constantly. But again, when my movie was airing last week and not being able to do any of the promo, the amount of fans that reposted, press bites and movie bites, and it was just like it went viral. It was crazy, and it was all these people, and it was a lot of Tyler's heinies and stuff like that, which they've taken me into the fold as well. Um, but like the heinies and the spicy heinies and all of my
The family.
fans. I don't really know. I don't have they, at one point they were like, "Should we call you the Walkies?" And I was like, I love the Walkies." But so the Andrew Walker fan base as well. Everyone would just rally together, and
That's
um,
amazing.
But I know there's look a lot of people are going through some tough times, and I just you know I hopefully these movies bring a little light to sometimes a dark day, and that's all I hope for in my life is to be able to be somebody that can put out positivity and so I just I think I just always and forevermore feel so much gratitude for all of those people that allow me to do what I do, because if people didn't watch them and if people didn't like me, I wouldn't be doing the work that I do. So just thank you to everyone,
and it does not go unnoticed or unappreciated.
I love that. And I love what you said about positivity. I feel like in a crazy world right now where there seems to be a plethora of negativity, to make a huge effort to inject positivity in the world, I think is beautiful. And the last thing I wanted to ask is for all those artists out there that, are actors or directors or, whatever, is there any advice you can give to artists that are starting their journey and they want to build a career?
I mean, I think you're a true testament to somebody who has built a career for himself and has not stopped and has not been, you know, you don't take no for an answer. You've created all your own opportunities, and it's you're an inspiration to a lot of these actors and a lot of these performers and artists, I think, out there. And
Wow,
I
thank
think it's
you.
just like, no, for sure, Josh. You're like, you are a true testament to this. And I think like, you know, I I think performers, artists, we all need to just keep creating. Just and that's what you do. You keep creating. You have shot people, you know, for years and not made a dime off them, and continue to create. But it was your creativity that has brought you clout in now who you are, and it's your content. And I had an acting coach always say to me, you're only as good as your last job. So that's why you always want to do the best work you could possibly do your last job and keep progressing from there. And so I think, like, regardless of how big or small or how many eyeballs are on it or whatever it is, you just keep putting out great work. And that's something that you obviously have done for years. And to a detriment. You've like you give so much, but all your work stands by itself. It stands alone. It's like when people look at your work from years and years ago, they go, man, Josh has had an eye for so long. But it's the funny thing is, and what we do, people are like, oh yeah, like Andrew just came on the scene like 2 years ago or whatever. I've been like in this for 30 plus years, eating
Grinding.
from the 99-cent store, and years. Cassandra and I bought from the 99-cent store for 10 years when we first made out to LA. And that's where we were doing our grocery shopping. And it's like, so I think just keep creating and 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 just tunnel vision. You know what I mean? Just like keep doing what stimulates you and what inspires you. Not saying that you shouldn't take people's feedback, and especially people that you admire, but just keep creating.
I love that. Also, I feel like you're one of the few people that have seen me. So the fact that you said that means a lot because, some people will look at my career and be like, you're so lucky. And I always equate art to getting in shape. Like, you might not have seen the years of like pain and ripping muscles and starving and not wanting to work out and failures and all of these things to eventually get to where I'm at. And uh, the fact that you notice that in my career means a lot. And the advice you give, I think, is so important. And I do think the world doesn't have enough artists out there. So instead of seeing each other as competition, I think we should help each other and create a family and support each other. Especially if you find like-minded people that want to be healthy and create positivity and make the world a better place. And um, but I want to end with I miss you. I love you. I can't wait till I get to see you in person again. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so grateful that you took time to do my podcast.
Oh man, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for asking me. I love you too, buddy. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to give you a big hug. And thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, sir. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Definitely, bro.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.